Okay, welcome back to the next segment of our subnetting series. I have gone ahead and printed out the IP addressing subnetting workbook, which you guys will want to print out. Gives you some pages at the very beginning that allow you to look at classes of networks. Even though we don't use this a whole lot more, it gives you an idea of the ranges, what the classes used to be, class A, B, C, D, and E, and then default subnet masks. So what they refer to in your workbook or in your curriculum is a slash notation. So when you're looking at default subnet masks, a class C, the 255.255.255.0 is actually a slash 24. So that is 8 bits in each of the first 3 octets turned on. So that's about all the ones will be what the representation of 255 is. So the placeholders that I talked to you about in the last one, the 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, so all of those would be on. So they refer to those as slash notation. So a class B is a slash 16, and a class A is a slash 8. And that is how you get the 255.000, 255.255.00, and the last 3, 255, 255, 255.0. It's because ones have been established for the network portion of the addresses. And this will be more clear as you flip to page 8 in that manual, and I'm going to send out an email about this too. You will see anding with subnet masks, and it walks you through that process so that you'll see how the subnet mask gives you the network portion and the host portion. Okay. And then it'll show you a custom range. Here's what we need to talk about today. So how to determine the number of subnets and the number of hosts. This is on page 10 of that document. So you can see the formula up there at the top. Number of subnets is 2 to the power of S, meaning subnets. Then the number of hosts that you need per subnet is 2 to the power of H minus 2. So you figure out how many devices you have that you need to assign static IP addresses to. And then you do this 2 to the power of H minus 2. The minus 2 is because that you cannot use the network address and you cannot use the broadcast address. So that is where you get the minus 2. Those 2 addresses in a pool can never be used. And they'll walk you through a formula to figure that out. Now, in your scenarios, most of the time they're going to tell you what it is that you want to do. So the LAN subnet needs 30 hosts. The WAN subnets, you typically always in this chapter will require 4 addresses. So you'll use the slash 30 subnet mask for WAN addresses. You can't use the first, you can't use the last. But you use the 2 in the middle, which would give you both ends of your WAN connection in your routers. So you'll work through that. But most of them will give you the specific scenario. So today's lecture, we're going to start out with just creating the same size subnets. What will be helpful for you also, and you're going to want to keep this for a while until you get used to subnetting. In the very back of this PDF document that is out on my KWU, you will see an addressing guide. So it looks like this in the very, very back of the book. And it has a breakdown of all of the slash notations or CIDR, which is this side right here, the number of bits that you've borrowed to create custom addresses, the default subnet mask, total number of subnet masks, total number of hosts in there, and then the usable host addresses, because remember you can't use first and last, so that actually counts as part of your host addressing, but you cannot use them. They're not assignable. So that's why you have the total number of usable host addresses column. This is going to be your saving grace for a while. So in most of these lectures, we're going to talk about the Class C. So the Class C addressing space. And I'm going to start out pretty little for you, just to do these demonstrations with. So if you have these all printed out when you look at these, this will be helpful for you. So at the very bottom, /30s, which is a Class C addressing space. So that would be if you are using like a WAN connection where you only need 2 usable host addresses. You will see that we borrowed 6 bits. So this borrowing bits means, this is how to explain this. We're in a Class C, so the default mask is 255, 255, 255.0. So we're working in this set of 8. Okay? So that means these are all 1s for their 8, all 1s for this 8, all 1s for this 8. Without your subnet masking, an IP address is just an address. It's just a set of numbers. You need the subnet mask to be able to start picking apart your addresses. This is what's important about subnetting. So we're down into this last octet here. So we're in the zeros, okay? So basically what that means with the bits borrowed is we have taken the first 6 and turn them on. Okay, we've turned them on. So now our new subnet mask, okay, these are all on. So 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4. Okay, we've turned them on. That means they're on. We've added them all up. So our new mask is now 255, 255, 255, 252. The only 2 address spaces we have right here are the 2 and the 1, which gives us 3. So if we added a 3 on here, we would have 255, which would mean all 1s would be on. Okay, so now all we can do here, we only have 0s and 1s to work with. We're in base 2. They're either on or they're off. Okay, so if we add zeros here, okay, we get 0. That's our network address in this instance. 0, 1 is 1. Okay. Then we move over. 1, 0 is 2. 1, 1. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we can't do anything else. This is the last one. We have both 1s. So we've gone through the path of zeros down to 1. So the only 2 addresses we can assign are 1 and 2 with a default mask of 252. So we've created a new mask. Okay, 3 becomes our broadcast address down here. So here's our network address. Here's our broadcast address. These are assignable addresses. Okay, so that's a /30. As you move up the line and you look at those bits borrowed, okay, you see that they work in reverse order. They have a reverse relationship. So as the total number of subnets goes down, you go from 64 subnets down to 32 subnets down to 16. The total number of hosts goes up. Okay, inverse relationship there. So in this instance, okay, let's move on. And I'm going to go down to one that's a little more manageable. for you because that's a lot of subnets. So, but hypothetically, if you wanted to figure that out, okay, we work in the address space 192. Oh, stop for today.